On Coin Observatory. What's up, traders? What's up, TradingView? What's up, YouTube? Just making sure my streams are up and running. It looks like we're up and running. I can see myself on TradingView, just waiting for YouTube to give me the go. We're going the tube. All right, let's dive right in. Welcome to another session of Chart Mastery with myself. It's gonna be your normal chart mastery session. I'm gonna cover BTC, Ether, using Fibonacci, retracements, and extensions. Also gonna cover the S&P, the QQQ. Probably gonna pull up the Harmonics scanner, see what we can find. Take any chart suggestions that you guys have. Altcoin stocks. Cooley, what's up? Drew Donaldson, hola. You guys on YouTube, thank you for saying hi. TradingView, don't be shy. Say something. All right. I think got the intro down. We can dive in. So BTC, right? It's been looking. I'm gonna remove all of this and kind of chart it from scratch. Even though I've had these fibs on here for some time. When we were looking for support last week, right? We pulled up the. I'm gonna start with the EMA, and that's where we had seen on the weekly initial support. Right, we'd seen that initial support, and then I was asked like, hey, where is support further down? I said we're missing a fib retest, right? And the fib retest was at 40,300 and something. Bam, yeah, 40,390. Okay, so we saw that retest, and we saw bulls come in, be a bit reflexive. If we had volume, we had good volume on like the hourly, the 2 hour, and so forth. Problem is we haven't quite seen follow through, right? And that's kind of been the case, right? Like the last time we marked bottom in this correction, right? It took the whole week to really get the follow through bullish engulfer. Let's get out of the weekly. Delilah, Braymac, afternoon. All right, so we did see support at 40,390, right? And that was on one of my previous streams. Like we highlighted that level. Now something's being a little problematic today, right? One thing I say, it's generally continuation with fibs. We want to see continuation until proven otherwise, right? And here, initially, on this initial meltdown, right, we saw a wick here at the 61.8. And today, we're seeing that become resistance, right? And this 61.8 is of this swing. So from this low to this high, right, that's a continuation swing. And we're seeing the 61.8 fail, which, yeah. Another 61.8 we're seeing failing. Highlighted this one in Discord chat. I did say once we got above here, above 41,000, right? Because we have like several 61.8s, right? So once we had this retest, I said, hey, 44K incoming. And that was the 1.4 extension here. And the breakdown 61.8. So what's the lesson? What are we looking for, right? Are we going to continue down? Are we going to go back up? That's where I would say until we see a close above $44,096, until we see this get swept by bulls, a big push up, retest, and continuation, right? I would assume that we're likely going to come back down, all right? Now, if we do start coming back down, at what level would I want to interact? I'd say we could probably put down like a big wick down to 41,364 or 41,893, right? And if we get these wicks and we see, if we get a big move down and we see like good volume like we saw on this candle, at this point, I'd want to long it. Right, I've been patient. I've not signaled a lot. I signaled a short today on Luna, right? But I've been patient throughout this. I wanted to get clarity. I just re-added the volume indicator to show you guys what I'm talking about. Good reflexive volume. You guys see this volume bar? That's indicative of, hey, we're gonna turn this chart around for now. So being a rejection at like several rejection levels right here at 44,000, right, between that 61.8 retracement and then the other 61.8 retracement, right, I'd want to see these two levels. I'd want to see what happens here, and if we see this kind of buying pressure, that's where I'm going to fill along. All right, that's what I have for BTC, right? If we get another retest up here and it fails, again, like we get a tweezer top, something like we saw over here, right? Because this was also a bearish 61.8 of the previous move. I'm just going to show you guys how this works, right? So, right, we have, let me just remove everything. It's pretty simple once you know what to look for, right? So we have a swing high there. We have the swing low wick. My face is covering it. The swing low wick. And if I just extend my lines out, right? Resistance of the red line, 51,840, right? If we do the same thing here, bam, right? Resistance of the red line. So if we see that happen again and another wick down, I'm gonna go in like a decent sized short. Problem is I don't like shorting this far into the trend, so we'll see how it goes. All right, that covers BTC. Let's look at Ether. Ether's looking a little different, right? I'm gonna do like a same type of extension that we did on BTC, and 3,200 is holding, right? I did. They're doing a different set of fibs on Ether, and I gave me a long, but that long got stopped out like the next day, which was frustrating, right? So I had a long at 3,046, and then that wick stopped me out, so I kind of left it alone. And now it hasn't done a bearish 61.8, which leads me to conclude that we could still see ETH go up, which could push BTC up for that retest, right? So, and a failure at 50% is really bearish. So we want to see ETH get up to 34.94, right? Like we want to see that. Also, interestingly, even though everybody else wants you to think they're not correlated, you know, indices have been selling off, traditional markets have been selling off, and they turned around at a continuation level, right? So I haven't covered crypto majors. Let me cover the QQQ and the S&P, and then we'll come back to any suggestions and questions you guys have. All right, so this was kind of easy pickings on the QQQ. It did dip below the 61.8, but now we're seeing turn back around. Ironically, now it's like basically stuck between 261.8, right? So we have this swing. It hasn't quite fully tested, so I'm expecting 1621 in the S&P. So if you look at ES futures, what's going on here? If you look at the ES futures, I'd like to take this high, right? We're above the 61.8, so I'd want to see indices try another high. And the thing is, if indices decide to break up and clear the 61.8s and 786 and start making new highs, then BTC and Ether would follow, right? I don't see one market going up while the other one coming down. Historically, that's not how it works, right? If they're corrective, they're both correcting. And if they are risk on, they're both risk on. I believe that covers what I wanted to cover for this stream, like the highlights, the important factors, things to look at, levels to look at this point. Love to take any chart requests from the chat. Yeah. So while you guys do that, I'm gonna cover some other assets. I signaled a short on Luna today. It was very technical, right? Like super basic. Actually, before we do that, so I didn't quite signal it, but I posted in the chat the Luna long. right? So took this swing low, went up to the swing high. Nope, took this swing low, went up to the swing high, and I said, hey guys, I'm gonna long $63 on Luna, and I did, right? And now I signaled a short on Luna, just because I'm seeing resistance is 78 in terms of this retracement, and then there's also the smaller 61.8. I believe I'm taking this high because that's the trend break retest and coming down, right? So we filled some shorts at like above 79.5 with a stop at 79.6. So really tight stop type thing. I'm looking for just another retracement down for a long. Look at Doge. I will look at Doge just because it's a request. I do not trade Doge. Don't believe in Doge. Think it's a meme. It's hype. Yeah, I would. If I could short it on 100x, I would. I don't want to short it on 20x because I feel like I could trade other things on 100x and make more out of my money, right? So if 1611 does not break up, this is a bull trap. If it can fold 1611, then I would think it can continue up. And at that point, the next target would be 1713, right? But as of what I'm seeing now, like this swing move from 1764 down to 13, this would be the perfect 61.8 for a short entry. Braymac. So for you guys on TradingViews, questions coming from YouTube, and they want me to cover Doge. So that's what I think is happening. Right? We've seen this happen like over and over on Doge, where like this was a 61.8, right? Twice on this swing. This was a 61.8. It's just how bear markets work. Like this is basically my definition of bearish, is failure to close above a 61.8. And sometimes we get this like pinning effect where it does this on the same swing, right? So this would be the high, this would be the low, because this low is higher than this one, right? So the red line is resistance, and then you get a breakdown, and then you have a new swing develop, and a new swing develop, and so forth. Javier, what are your thoughts on systems or algo trading? QQ, if you can build them, build your systems. You can backtest them. And if you can backtest them and build them and they're profitable, use them. If you're going to like rent out systems and use like systems that aren't proprietary, what is your edge? What is that system's edge? Do you know it? Are you familiar with it? Can you replicate it? All right, let's look at ADA. So fundamentally, I think ADA is okay, nobody be offended. I still think ADA is a shitcoin. Always will be until there's actually like a product, right? I do think it could explore further lows, right? I don't know, at this point with like the 1 cent or the $1 mark, the $1.15. Yeah. Let me see if we get extension support off here. Yeah, not a fan of it. I mean, anybody that looks at this chart that believes in support and resistance will tell you, hey, we're at support, right? It's like, it's a price floor until it gets rugged, right? The price floor is the price floor until it gets rugged. All right, what happened here? I think there's like a 1.2 extension. I just eyeballed it. Look at that. So my blue fib is a 1.2, right? And this move down was a 1.2 of this range. Okay. So where would be the next stop? If I was to short ADA, I would probably take this range break and try to find the 61.8. Ironically, it's above it, right? So it's good. My bearish bias is invalidated as long as price stays above 1.267, right? Next target on something like this, I would say 1.359. That's ambitious though. Yeah, that's what I think. I'm not gonna give you an end of 2022 ADA price prediction. I can't do that. All right. Are Fibonacci retracements how? QQ on TradingView, please ask me a full question. So Link is interesting. I still have a long in here, and I'm not super happy with it. My stops are like in profit. So Link is definitely doing bearish continuation until it's not. What I mean by that is we had this sexy run up to 38, and during my stream on this day at 38, I said we're going to short Link because if it's going to pull back, it's going to pull back here. And what sucks is that, you know, it took profit at like 24, right? And it dumped all the way to 15. Now, what I'm seeing now that's it's not very promising is this price action here, right? And a 50% bearish retracement, right? So until it can close up and close above $30, I think the next move is down, right? And if it does reject the 26 and it pulls back down, right, then I'd want to see it like try to establish some kind of floor higher than 20. Or if it goes below 20, then we're looking at like a liquidity event, right? Because then it would take out this price floor. All right. My algos are getting chopped up. Can you quickly overview Fibonacci retracement tool? QQ, I have a full-blown workshop on the Fibonacci retracement tool. I'm talking like everything I know about Fibs. And it's on my, I'll drop a link to it. If you go to our website, like coinobservatory.com, and then scroll down in the middle of the page, let's pull that up. I'll show you how to get to it, and it's basically everything I've learned about Fibs, and you can get that. So scroll down in here, click this link, it's like a master class, and you learn everything I know about Fibs. I'm not gonna go over them during this live stream. All right, I covered Link. Let's do near USD. You guys want me to cover some stocks? Ask away too. Geez, so charts like this, I would start booking profits. I wouldn't try to ride things until the wheels fall off, right? Because when the wheels fall off, they will fall off pretty hard. And fast. Now this looks promising as it is above 17,477. And assuming it can stay above, like right here, it's kind of back within that trend line. I'd say short this thing, man. Like just because the rest of the market doesn't look very happy, I'd say short it. Especially if somebody's long. If I was long on spot, I would open a short on leverage to hedge my position. And I wouldn't like try to keep shorting it. I'd do it once with like a stop up here. Just because it's like at that wick high, broke above, now closing below type thing. Because it is at a high, right? Anyway. VRA USD. Veracity. Rawr. Alright, so let's do this. Wow. Would have been a voracious long at 2 cents, right? Would have been a sexy long right here. Man, where were you last stream? Are we talking about this? Is this on FTX? Nope. Trying to find a perp pair. Bittrex, KuCoin, Ascend, not even on Delta. All right. So I think Veracity is doing something like the rest of the market where it found Fib support and now it's running into Fib resistance. Am I right? Is this a bearish 61.8? Can it continue up? Not quite yet, right? It's doing a 50% retrace. I'd be hesitant to say it would get above 0.0362 as long as if the market continues the way it is, where it's like selling off and going sideways and not really being impulsive, I would be very confident to say that this chart will hesitate to get above 0.0362 like this red level. All right, Gala USDT. Is there a perp on this? Yes. All right. Thank you for sharing a purpable chart. This one's a little challenging. Let's do this. Take this high. Take that low. Take a deep breath. I don't see support here. Where did this come from? Let's do this. Okay. That makes more sense. Why we'd see 0.29 hold, right? And then in terms of a big picture, 0.29 held, right? Is this a bearish 61.8? Is this a bull trap? Is this where it's time to short it? I think so, right? If this chart does not get above 359, expect bearish continuation, right? Down to like 26, and that would be the next level of interaction. So I'm gonna put an alert here because I'm not gonna short this. I have one short going right now. I'm not gonna like get stupid shorting everything that I see. Long. Delilah, thank you for your shares. 1 USDT. Breaking up. You shared this chart with me last stream. I did this. I think we were here, and I said it gets above 268. You know, possibly seeing continuation. This really reminds me of some other charts. Right, you know, I think at this point, again above 328, I'd want to see a retest of last high. If it does get above last high, like the all-time high, then you're looking at like 44 at these three. But, you know, having the rest of the market dumping, right, or like being in a bearish retracement mode, I'd be wary on how much this can keep moving up regardless of everything else. Does that make sense? Looking here on the BTC chart, it's actually looking decent, right? So you want to see that close. You want to see this keep climbing on both. I wouldn't FOMO into anything if you guys, just because like I'm thinking something can keep going up, I wouldn't FOMO into it. But yeah, it looks like it should clear. It should keep going. All right, TSM. One day. That looks bullish. I think 154 is a possibility, right? I think 154 is the target here. Like, let's call it 150, right? Let's call it 150. Yeah, assuming a close above 128, 134, I see 150, 151. All right. What else you guys have for me? I love all the shows. I love everybody's participation. YouTube's been fire today. Trading, you guys are shy. What's going on? You guys getting chopped up? Hey, like, I don't blame you. I didn't do a whole lot of clicking until Luna hit like the 61.8, and yeah. Okay, FTM, PYR. I got the time. Phantom. This thing's looking like the same thing as it did last week, right? Or last time I covered it. Let's look at the tether chart. This is the tether chart. Like some of these trades that go from 0.00 to $3, right? Like at some point somebody's got to be really happy with their profits, right? Trend is holding, right? Trend is kind of holding, especially on the closes. It is wedging, okay? And these wedges can go two ways, right? If this can break wedge resistance, great, right? If it breaks wedge support, not so great. Great if you're short, okay? All right, in terms of like the fibs off this old base range, there's nothing left in terms of target, so this thing's really bubbled. And now in terms of the following, it's kind of above, but it's struggled in this range. I want to see what's going on in terms of like this last move, right? So this high to this low. Yeah, I think last time I covered Phantom, I was saying something along the lines that it can get pretty choppy and dicey in this next range. Shit. There you go. In this next range, just because you have resistance at 3, we have resistance at 3.5, and then at like 4, 4.12. I hate to say how I feel about something. So what I see is if we see continuation here and the rest of the market can keep going up, or a few strong players can keep going up, and I'd look to target 5.4. And if this does not breach 5.4, then this would be like a 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah, even in terms of Elliott wave, right? So on a truncated fifth, your fifth is not necessarily longer than your third, or it's not necessarily taller than the third, right? I'm not a big Elliottician, but when I see like wedges like this, I'd like to figure out if it's an ending diagonal, right? Because some wedges break up and some wedges don't. So on something like that, this would be the one. So it's getting confusing for me, because if this was 3, this is 4, that's 5, or even if this was right, so wave 5 can potentially, I'm not a big fan of this because like 3 isn't the longest, right? Looks like 1 was the longest, which I'm not a fan of, unless this was 1 and this was 2. This isn't my specialty, right? I see something that can possibly be something else, unless this was the 5 wave, right? And 5 wave ended and it's just like doing a retest where it could break down. Even if it wasn't, just be wary here. Be wary at these highs, right? All right, PYR. Hourly looks decent. Will it break, right? What is resistance here? This one looks promising, right? This one looks promising. If I was trading this on leverage, my stop would be like 13.87. Is there a perp pair on here? No. Yeah, I would move my stop to like this wick low, or at least a partial stop if I've been long in this. I don't have a position. If I was trading this, say I got in here, because this was a good dip. Like this thing looks decent. This looks like a 61.8 wick continuation. Yeah, right. So I would think like 13.9 should hold for a breakout, and if not, then it's probably gonna come back down. Geez, all right, let's slow down on the chart recommendations. I'm starting to get anxiety. I feel like behind. All right, Raven. So I know I've been chilling Raven pretty hard. I mean, the halving just happened, right? Could there have been a bull trap, bear trap before the halving, right? Like, I think that was a likelihood. I'm not going to, like, trade rhetoric. But, I mean, seeing this sell-off with the rest of the market dumping after a strong, like, fucking wicked 67% in 2 weeks. Yeah, like, that's cool. I'm not really intimidated by the wick down and having. So what the halving does, I'm not expecting like the Litecoin halving pump, right, where it just went up and at the halving it just broke out, like it broke down and a halved in price, right? Something like Raven, right? I think the halving is gonna have more of a long-term pricing effect because now miners can sell half of what they used to be able to sell, right? So the sell pressure is reduced by half, which should essentially move price up because people can't sell as much as they used to be able to. You can't just click market sell. You can't click market sell, and you're able to, but you're not getting the same amount of mining rewards to be able to sell as much as you used to. So if you wanted to sell half of your rewards, let's say you're getting 1,000 Ravens, now you can only sell 500. So that's what I see on Raven. In terms of like FA, I'd want to see you move to like 11, right? Unless we're seeing a 50% continuation. It's also really important to keep an eye on majors. Like if BTC USD keeps dumping, I don't see a lot of coins being able to make an up move, right? Like to swim upstream, right? I don't see that as a possibility for a lot of tokens. So keep an eye on these majors, right? XRP. Man, XRP is a great coin to buy when the market's dumping and accumulate like long term. Just like a lot of other charts, right? It rejected at the 61.8. Now I want to see a retest. Just like BTC, just like Luna, just like many other charts, right? Think objectively, if this market can turn around and we start seeing these red lines get folded and bulls pushing past them, that would signal we're going to have upwards continuation. But if we see these revisits here and failures, that would be sell signals, right? It'd be like short, get the fuck out, be cautious, de-risk. All right, Anchor. Logical support at 8 cents. Let's look at the hourly. Keep yawning. Again, above 9. I do think the next target based off this is going to be 10 cents, right? And if it can get above 10, that's great. And if it can't get above 10 cents, then I'd expect bearish continuation. So something like this, I do think the next target is 10 cents. YFI. I wonder if Michael still has his longs. He got in long at like 17,000. I don't know if he got stopped out the next day or something. This looks interesting, right? It did test the 786, which is 39,000. Now it's testing the 61.8. So if it can push above here, right, then we're seeing a bit of like a parallel channel, and I'd want to see it do something else. But if it can't get above 34,825, because we've seen resistance here before, right? If it can't do that, then I'd expect a retest of like the lower lows. And this would be, right, so this was support. I'm trying to find the next 61.8. So let's remove drawings. I would take this high to this low. And yeah, it's rejecting at the 50, right? So if it can't get above, I'm going to set an alert for here because I'm going to short it if it gets up here and it fails. DWAC. QQ, it's all in my workshop, man. I enter my charts on the 5-minute time frame, but I analyze my entries on the daily. But just look for confirmation on really small time frames so I can reduce my risk. DWAC. Is this like is this one of those metaverse charts? Just going off the name, it sounds like it. I'd look and see what 73 does. Right? I think that's the next target. Unless like the stock market keeps going up, right? If we get a risk-on environment, I'd want to see continuation out of a lot of things, especially if they've been strong. But if we get bearish continuation, then we're gonna dump, right? Everything's gonna dump. So yeah, I would look at a 73. Yeah, I see it. I would look at 73.3 for like the next resistance or next target. Fun. It looked fun at 26, not looking too much fun at 28, right? This reminds me of like Tilray and a lot of I don't know, man. I would look at 245 as support until proven otherwise. What's it doing here? 61.8 rejection. So 2.97 is like resistance. Support is 245. Consider it in a range until proven otherwise. Sell support, buy resistance. Opposite. Buy support, sell resistance. I'm sorry. Anyway, you get what I'm saying, right? Like buy low, sell high on something like this. I think it's in a range until 297 is taken out. Or is our short stopped out? Let's take a look. Not yet, getting close. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning into today's stream. I'm gonna go ahead and like show you a link to the actual chart workshop, That way you can get the workshop and learn just like how I use fibs. And yeah, this is going in TradingView chat just because I got asked about my methods quite a bit. Anyways, other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the stream. I'll catch you again on Friday, same time, same places. And yeah, trade safe. See ya.